In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming pattern here where we do have another very major severe weather outbreak that is expected across the plains and into a bit of the Ohio Valley and upper Midwest, as well as the deeper South. This is going to be a widespread severe weather event, unfortunately, it appears. So we're going to be taking a look at that. That is alongside a very major storm that is going to cause a large blizzard for the upper Midwest and northern plains. So we need to talk about that also. And then also some storminess following that up. As always, be sure to stay tuned for the end of the video where we will be taking a look at those Storm Prediction Center outlooks. We actually have an enhanced risk through the morning this morning. We're also going to be, and through the day today, and we're going to be taking a look at another one for that main event on day 3. And then there's even a day 4 extended outlook for the Northeast where some severe weather is expected. So we'll be going over all of those things. As you can see, already by the time we reach this afternoon and evening, this is what we're talking about when we talk about that enhanced risk today. That's going to be for this afternoon into this evening for Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana. We'll take a look at that outlook at the end, but that is some severe weather happening down there, and that actually moves for tomorrow into the deeper South, where perhaps we have a marginal risk or general thunderstorm risk down here. I'm not quite sure. We could see that there's already a storm building out here for the Four Corner States, 989 right here. Heavy snowfall here for Utah that doesn't need it anymore. And then Wyoming and South Dakota and Nebraska, they're getting some of that heavier snowfall with this. As we take a look at about Tuesday morning time frame, April 4th, our jet stream looks very intense here. Just about like this with this pattern. 987 right there, causing major snowfall, as you can see, just to the north and west of that low right there. No cold front yet, but we can see that warm front has really become a factor here, and this is causing the warm air to push northward, obviously. So we've seen this time and time again, especially with our last severe weather event, and it appears like we will see these same factors once more. That's not to say that it will have the same result, but that is a very similar storm. We start to see that cold front develop by about Tuesday evening. This is probably about 8 p.m. on Tuesday the 4th here. And we see this cold front really stretching down like this. The warm front looks about like this. So what we see is this warm air doing something like that right there, rising up in the east. And then we see this cold trying to kind of wrap around and swing underneath. And that is what causes tornadic activity in between these two areas. I will say this is a very intense look, and that low is a 983, which is a lot lower than our previous storm. So overall, that low pressure system is a lot stronger than our previous one. And we could see a major blizzard ongoing, by the way, for the upper Midwest and northern plains here as a result of this storm. You see very, very heavy snowfall still for the Rockies, and then up through Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, northern Minnesota, and then northern Wisconsin there, as well as the upper peninsula of Michigan. As we keep this going towards about Wednesday morning on the 5th here, we can see that this really begins to get going with this cold front there. And we can see that there's a lot of rising warm air right out ahead of that warm front, or that cold front better yet, and that is a big concern. And this cold air really swinging in behind and hitting that from the side. That causes kind of a barreling rotation effect here, where the cold air kind of goes over, and it just causes this rotating horizontal mass in the atmosphere along that front. And if any downdrafts happen in that intense line of storms, that would cause tornadic activity, unfortunately. So that is what we're looking for in these types of situations. You can clearly make out that warm front as well. So this is a far-stretching, very impactful storm for the entire United States, really. We saw it impact the West and now even the East. Now, we see this cold front does reach the East Coast by the time we're reaching about Thursday evening here. So we'll see some thunderstorm-type impacts here for these areas. That's going to be, again, Thursday evening into Friday, very early Friday morning. So mostly Wednesday is the day we're watching here, from very early on Wednesday at about maybe 1 a.m. all the way through towards Thursday morning. We see that bringing major impacts. What we see is this does follow up with a very soft trough here. So this would bring some cooler air, especially the further north in the east you are here. Pretty soft though, and we do see a little bit of warmth moving its way into the west. So definitely some interesting shifts in the tide here as we keep going. We see that that eventually sort of lifts off, and it's followed up by another minor trough, but overall some ridging is trending in for the west, so we'll have to see if this is a consistent trend and we see this moving forward for the rest of April, or if this is just a short-term thing. But this looks pretty intense here, and this would bring more of a wintry type pattern for April, mid-April. It would not be the nice 70s and 80s. It would likely be the more 50s and 60s, mostly 50s for folks, maybe in 40s the further north you go as highs. Definitely in the east, this would take away that nice springtime weather for the time being. The total precipitation here, obviously that's not it. Here we go. We can see that there is a big storm system that moves in here. Surprise, surprise, like we mentioned earlier. So we get plenty of this snowfall in here. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Very high amounts of rainfall and snowfall there for the upper Midwest. And then as we see this cold front kind of swing through these areas, it actually eventually flattens out like this as a stationary front where there's equal push from the south and north, so it just stays put. Something like this is what takes place. And we actually see a low kind of develop along this and then move across this region. Just like that. And we see this happen from time to time. That is what happens, and that causes quite a bit here. We obviously have the thunderstorms happening today as well for Texas and Louisiana and Arkansas. So there's multiple reasons why there's very high amounts here in the southeast, but that's kind of the main reason there. We're going to have lingering precipitation, especially towards the end of the model run there. Total snowfall here, again, that's obviously not the total, but once we move through with the total through April 12th, April 11th, April 12th timeframe, we see these very, very high amounts with this low that's moving through just like that. This causes blizzard conditions for most of these areas, especially in the pinks and blues, but really it's not the amounts that matter with blizzard conditions. It's the rate of snowfall plus the wind, so it's going to be a visibility factor. That is what is going to cause this to be a very intense situation. You have a very strong and intense low nearby, and then you have these extreme rates of snowfall. That's not a good combination, and oftentimes that results in blizzard type conditions. Now the temperature pattern, we want to go over this real quickly. We see that we follow this, well, we start off the midweek with warmer conditions in the east because of basically the trajectory and the location of the low. So since the low is here, we see a kind of counterclockwise motion, so it's causing that rising in the east, sinking in the west. That is completely encouraging this type of a pattern there at that point. But as we start to see this move eastward with that cold front, we see the cold also move eastward to where it's basically squeezed along the east coast for Thursday. And then for Friday, it is gone. We have cold air arrived for the east coast, and things do generally trend warmer for a while. But we start to see the cold trend back in for maybe mid-April. So we're going to be watching this closely. But overall, the 10 days from the April 6th to April 16th looks like this. And you can tell it looks like, to me, definitely a trough in the east. There is some colder conditions out here. But look at this. We have some warmth along the west coast being trended in. That could be the beginning of a positive P&A that we're seeing. So only time will truly be able to tell. But that is some interesting factors to think about moving forward. And obviously, on the channel, we're going to be going over all of these things daily. Let's go ahead and take a look at that Storm Prediction Center. I have quite a few things to show you guys over there. Now, first things first, here is your day one outlook for today on Sunday, April 2nd here. We can see that there is a general thunderstorm risk up here in the lighter greens. That's going to be for all of these areas inside of this circle here. And that is where we're taking a look at general thunderstorms, but obviously severe weather is not expected. But we want to pay mind to the fact that anything is possible, so we don't want to rule out anything. Obviously, things can happen inside of this, things can happen outside of this even, but that's just not where it's expected. As we zoom into the kind of like the next little layer here, we can see this darker green region here. This is where we have a marginal risk at severe weather. So we see Oklahoma City in there, Texarkana, Jackson, Mississippi, Alexandria there in Louisiana. So we see quite a few areas there, bigger, larger areas there in that marginal risk. And that's where we expect isolated severe weather to take place today within that green region. The yellow area here is going to be your slight risk. We see Shreveport there, Austin, Texas. We see Abilene, Wichita Falls there, all involved in this slight risk area, and that is where we expect scattered severe weather reports to come in. And then let's take a look at this final area here, and this is going to be our enhanced risk region, and this is where we expect widespread severe weather to start taking place. So we see Waco, Texas in there, Tyler, Texas, Dallas and Fort Worth obviously in there, so that's going to be a bigger area there involved in this. So definitely some serious severe weather is expected even just today. A little bit of an unexpected one, a little bit of a surprise event here. So hopefully all is good within here, but it does appear like some very nasty storms are going to be taking place, and major severe weather cannot be ruled out. So pay attention to that if you are within this region, or even if you're within any of these regions. We definitely want to take a look at that and consider the fact that there is severe weather possible today. We'll just take a look at day 2 real quickly, and as you can see, day 2 looks like this. We have multiple kind of marginal risk areas, one for Dallas, one for Birmingham, Alabama, and then one for Kansas City there, and some central regions of Illinois. That's where, again, isolated severe weather reports are looking quite possible, so we want to pay mind to that as well. Let's take a look at that day 3 outlook, which is the one we've been kind of talking about for days now. And this is the look as of right now. Like I told you guys yesterday, those orange areas pretty much translated towards enhanced risk areas, and then the yellow areas translated to slight risk regions. So that is pretty much what's transpired here. Again, the general thunderstorm risk areas is the lighter green ones there. That is where we expect general thunderstorms. In the marginal risk area, this darker green, we have Memphis here. We have Fort Wayne, Indianapolis here, Milwaukee, Madison. So we have quite a few areas, Dallas even, in that darker green region where we expect isolated severe weather to occur. This big yellow area is going to be your slight risk region. And we have Springfield, Tulsa. We have some other areas, Evansville there we have included in this areas. Oh, Des Moines is in there as well. These are areas where we expect scattered severe weather reports to come in. Definitely some serious severe weather can happen in any of these layers, but certainly it's these orange areas that we're paying the most mind to, where the conditions are the most ripe here. We see Kansas City is within there, Jefferson City, St. Louis is right on the border of this, Davenport there, Chicago, Peoria, I think that's how you pronounce that. Springfield there in Illinois, Bloomington as well. We see all of these areas. Definitely want to pay attention because we have very serious parameters suggesting severe weather appears very likely in these areas. Same story here for this area here. We see Jonesboro there in Arkansas, Little Rock as well. And then Texarkana all involved. So all of these areas stretching from northeast Texas into southeast Oklahoma, through a lot of Arkansas, and then back down into southeast Missouri. We expect severe weather to be very likely in these areas. Then, like I said, we do have a day 4 extended outlook, so let's go ahead and take a look at this one as well. So this is going to be after this cold front has moved through into the eastern United States, and we can see that for a lot of the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes here, we actually have a pretty big severe weather threat. This translates at least to a slight risk area, all of these regions, and this one would include Detroit, Lansing, Toledo here, the Cleveland Akron area, Columbus, Cincinnati, Fort Wayne there in Indiana, Pittsburgh right on the fringe there of being involved, Buffalo and Rochester, New York also involved in this potentially slight risk area. That's what it's expected to be upgraded to, obviously, by time it's within day 3, which will be tomorrow. So be sure to tune in with us tomorrow. We'll take a more extended look at this. But for now, this is all we have. We do know severe weather appears very possible for these areas on what's going to be, I'll give you guys the exact date of this because I haven't been doing that, unfortunately. Day 4, which is going to be for April 5th into the 6th. So this reaches all the way into the morning of the 6th. It starts on April 5th there. The day 3 outlook is the 4th into the morning of the 5th. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe. Again, we'll be taking the extended look at this one tomorrow. And also, all of the things we've discussed today, we're going to be going over more. We make daily uploads here on the channel. We hardly ever miss, so it's going to be very, very consistent. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Also, be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.